This is an interesting thing because remember when we were talking at the beginning of the show, and welcome, it's House Sparks Mega Worldwide. Don't forget to like, subscribe, support the show. We're heading up on 44,000 subscribers. We're going to hit 45. I would like to stay at 45 for as little time as possible, so help me out by hitting that like and subscribing. When we looked at the legal argument at the beginning of the show tonight that Trump's team was making, it showed a sort of fundamental inability to process reality. And similar things happen constantly in the election denial world. When you get to the folks at Frank's speech, they're still selling this idea, even though Trump is touting the fact that more and more Latinos are voting for Trump or voting for Republicans, which eats into their thing that the Democrats are just trying to bring people into the country so they'll vote Democrat automatically, blah, blah, blah. All that shit we've heard him say, which is part of what's going on here. But the big, scary southern border is the tale they need to tell. Never mind the fact that we've had fewer migrant workers in the country than we've ever had, thanks to COVID largely. But this argument here, the Biden regime is now legalizing immigrants on the Mexican side of the border and flying them to the American interior. Now, if you've ever flown into the country, if you've ever, come back from another country, you go through immigration to come into the United States there. You don't do it once you land in the United States. You do it in the airport you're coming through. If you want to fly into the United States, you're going to pass through immigration, leaving that country into the United States, and they'll decide whether you can there. So the whole thing about remain in Mexico as we hear your case is based on that premise extrapolating out to the southern border, to people who walk as opposed to fly. And just the phrasing of this tells me that these assholes don't understand what the purpose of remain in Mexico as a way of processing people actually is. That they think remain in Mexico means forever, not stay there until your claim is heard, or that the process goes on. So I want to see if I'm right about this, but this is this is Frank's speech, so God knows.
So I was going to tell you that I'm
already bored.
Trip that I just returned from in Tijuana and Mexicali across from the California.
Did you get the clap clear up? They got some hardcore antibiotics, I guess, and it's the only place you can go.
California section of the border, which I really haven't spent much time.
You mean San Diego?
Exploring. That there is another story that is going to break on Monday morning.
Very exciting.
It'll be a video and a print report.
Oh my God. Both? Thank God I hate to read.
These will post at about 1 a.m. at CIS.org, Center for Immigration Studies.org.
Yeah, don't look for it right now, Brandon. He said it's not going to come out until Monday.
And the story, I don't want to spoil too much of it, but
yeah, no, go ahead.
I will tell you that the story blows out of the water and reveals that the Biden administration
blows what out of the water?
Is now
it just emerges out of the water like Godzilla?
Legalizing the immigrants on the Mexican side before they bring them escorted over the Mexican border through ports of entry.
And exactly.
Right through the ports of entry.
Right. So they're not entering illegally. They've already had their immigration status heard and adjudicated, and then they're being brought through, and they stay in Mexico until that happens.
In legalized handoffs.
Right, so it's legal. Gotcha.
Between the
So they're here legally.
Mexican Immigration Service and the American Customs and Border Protection. And that this has been happening for about 6 months now.
Mm-hmm.
In a rapidly expanding border-wide from the Pacific Ocean to the Gulf of Mexico. at ports of entry all along California, Arizona, New
I'm still not understanding what the problem is.
Mexico, Texas.
So people who either have asylum claims or legally they got a sponsor or family member, they're being granted, access for a myriad of reasons, but they qualify. They're qualifying outside the country, and then they are being shepherded across the border rather than having to what? Be a legal immigrant and then run across the border?
All the way down to the tip of Texas, but also,
Just the tip.
and these are just handoffs.
Legal yes. So there's no long passes. I mean, when are they going to throw some immigrant bombs? You know what I'm saying? Just kind of go. No.
On humanitarian parole authority that is highly questionable whether there is such
It is highly questionable if you're the kind of person who questions all immigration.
an authority. There's litigation challenging that. But you can't see this kind of border crossing because it's happening
Right, just like airplanes.
behind federal walls, first in Mexico and then in the United States. There are no Fox News drones overhead that can see this.
Why not? When is Fox News going to get a drone army?
And as far as I can tell, it's happening by the tens of thousands all along the border, legalized. I'll put that.
Migration, legal migration is happening. So that's what this is a whole story. This breaking news story on Monday, a video and an article will be that legal immigration is happening at the southern border at almost all of the ports of entry.
That in quotation marks, air quotation marks, handoffs between the Mexican government and the American government behind closed doors.
Yeah, that's not what that is, by the way. That's a bunch of lava people strolling through hell, obviously.
And also in the interior of Mexico, in cities such as Monterrey, I'm told, and Cancun.
Well, if somebody told you that.
And Mexico City, the Americans are also taking.
As well as 9 miles below the Earth's crust between two tectonic plates.
Those immigrants aboard.
Yeah, they will not be able to parachute in. They will not use hang gliders. It's all just handoffs.
Aircraft that are being flown from Mexico to American airports.
Wait a minute. Wait, stop. Quit it. There are airplanes flying legal immigrants from Mexico legally into America and landing legally at American airport. What the fuck? I'm sorry, I have to call my congressman. 1 second. Hi, is Ted there? Nope. Can I leave a message for him? Yeah. Hey, Ted, it's Hal. Just wanted to know if you've checked out that this clip on Frank's speech where apparently legal immigrants are being brought in legally through the country through airplanes. Yeah. No, you gotta check it out. This is yeah, it's hilarious. Anyways, love your work. Bye. Whoops, shit. This thing doesn't let me use the buttons.
And delivered to CBP in the American airport. So it's by land and by air.
Here, hey, I got news for you, by the way. If you travel by air, eventually, follow me on this, you have to land. I know it's crazy. Often, most airplanes, I'll have you know, take off from land. That's right. Not all of them. Some of them take off from water, but they usually have to land in water. So if they're landing in land, they took off from land. That just, rules. And again, the sign of a good flight is the same amount of takeoffs and landings. Everything else is gravy. Holy shit. That is the standard of anti-immigration argument currently going on with our dear friends over at Frank's speech. That's one of the Frank clips, which frankly are a pile of shit.